Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is John, and I'm part of the account management team here at Roadmap Consulting. Thank you so much for joining today's Oasis Plus webinar. So, whether you're a small business exploring Oasis Plus for the first time, an 8A, Hub Zone, SDVOSB, or WSB firm sizing up the opportunity, or a current Oasis holder trying to understand how the new vehicle affects you, you're in the right place today. This session is all about one thing, helping you understand whether you qualify and what to do about it before the window closes. And a few quick housekeeping notes before we begin. This will be approximately a 30-minute presentation, followed by live Q&A all within the hour. And please drop any questions into the chat back box as we go, and we'll try to address them all. We'll do our best to answer all the questions that you have. This webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, where we will share links to all of our social media platforms shortly before we wrap up. And right after the presentation, we will highly suggest to schedule a free consultation with our speaker for any specific questions you do have. And we'll post that link in the chat as well. So, quick note before we dive in, this webinar was originally scheduled for next week, but the date was moved. Today, Thursday, July 9, is the current date. So thank you so much for adjusting your calendars to join us. Our goal today is simple: to help you understand the Oasis Plus is qualification-based, not application-based. Success isn't determined by how well you write a proposal. It's determined by whether your past performance, certifications, and project portfolio actually support the domains you intend to pursue. And once a current on-ramp closes, there might not be another opportunity for up to like 5 years. So with that, let me introduce our speaker. A brief introduction to our speaker and managing director. Michael Perch is the founder and owner of Roadmap Consulting and a subject matter expert in federal and state public procurement. He's a DC SBDC senior consultant, an adjunct professor at George Mason University, and a 10-year SCORE mentor in a DC chapter. Mike brings over 27 years of experience in federal government contracting, program management, training, and curriculum development. Since 2009, Mike and RMC has assisted over 300 firms in acquiring government-wide acquisition contracts and GSA mass contracts through Roadmap Consulting's GSA 360 service offering. And those awards have resulted in over $1 billion in task order awards to RMC clients. So without further ado, I'm very privileged to introduce our managing director and speaker today, Michael Perch. Mike, over to you.
Okay, thanks so much, John, and welcome everyone to our webinar on the Oasis Plus contract vehicle. Our goal today is very simple, as John pointed out. We're going to hopefully accomplish two things, and that is to first of all give you a very clear understanding as to how you would qualify to get onto the Oasis Plus contract vehicle, all the ins and outs, all the intricacies of the requirements contained in the solicitation. Kind of dummy it down, make sure everyone's aware of essentially what it takes to get onto the vehicle. Taking that solicitation and really reducing it down to very simple terms that everyone can understand. And then what I want to do is describe how our program addresses how we assist companies in doing that. Program that I'm proud to say a lot of firms are gravitating toward because it is a step-by-step process in terms of essentially making certain that you have all that is required to obtain the GSA Oasis Plus contract vehicle in an initial step. We call that our assessment tier one step. And you get a report that basically details everything that is pertaining to the Oasis contract and your firm, customized. And then you go beyond that. You have the option of going beyond that to submit the proposal and get into the actual heavy lift of the proposal effort. So again, we're going to go over the ins and outs of the Oasis Plus vehicle solicitation, I should say, and then we're going to talk about our program right after that. Obviously, getting on the vehicle is the first step. And then you got to win the task order awards that come out. One of the things that we do a very good job of is strategizing with our clients with that objective in mind at the very beginning, so that as we're preparing your proposal to submit to Oasis, we're thinking about the task order awards that you're hopefully going to receive when you compete against other companies on the vehicle as well. So the title of the presentation is Get on Oasis, Now's the Time. As John pointed out, there's currently an on-ramp that began back in January, February timeframe of this year. No one knows the day, no one knows the time, no one knows the season as to when the on-ramp will close. A lot of speculation out there as to when. No one really knows, except the government, of course, and it has not yet been announced. So, as we are advising all of our clients, I would, strongly advise you to move quickly if, in fact, you want to get onto the vehicle before it does close, because as John pointed out, it won't open again for the next 5 years. The last Oasis contract started back in 2019. We assisted a number of companies back then in getting onto the vehicle. So that was what, 7 years ago. And so now another opportunity has presented itself. All right, so let's jump right into it. And talking about the Oasis contract vehicle, in basic terms, it is a long-term federal growth platform that is designed for both large and small businesses, and it is one of the more popular contract vehicles out there in terms of the actual task orders that are being awarded to it. So, in basic terms, it's a 10-year contract, a 10-year ordering period. It is a government-wide acquisition contract, so any particular agency can access the actual contract. There's no cap on any one of the task order awards, which is a very attractive feature, and it is an open entry model as of right now, again with the on-ramp. Another interesting thing to note about Oasis Plus is that the initial solicitation came out, as I mentioned, back in January, February timeframe. In May, the first group of awardees were given, which demonstrates the government's very quick turnaround in terms of evaluating the actual proposals that have been submitted. Within 4 or 5 months, they made the awards. I will tell you from my previous experience that is highly unusual and very encouraging to hear. Typically, the experience that we've had with Oasis, the previous Oasis, as well as other large contract vehicles, it can sometimes last as long as a year and even longer sometimes in terms of the award. So, again, all encouraging signs that this is a good vehicle to access if you're a small business or a large business, and that the awards will come fairly quickly. So yeah. So anyway, why does this matter to you? This is again one of the more attractive contract vehicles if you're doing business with the federal government. You're looking to maybe expand beyond agencies you currently do business with. No better vehicle to get onto. And again, 10 years in length and no caps on the awards. Um, Addressing a number of different domains, which I'm going to get into in just in a little bit, but kind of spans the range of services that the professional services that the government utilizes, and it does support long-term growth for those companies that are looking to get onto it. In terms of the process that you look at in terms of where you sit as your company, the steps that are involved are laid out here. Again, as John pointed out, it's not an actual application that you fill out, but it's more so a strategic proposal that you put forth that is customized for your company that gives you access to all the task orders that come out under the different lanes and under the different domains. So the first step in the process is to actually select the contract family or track that you would be on. And you can select as many as you qualify for. And those tracks are total small business, 8A, Hub Zone, SDVOB, women-owned small business, as well as unrestricted. How do you determine which one applies to you? Well, obviously, you either have the certifications or you don't. And as far as being a small business, it's all based upon the domain that you select, which there are 13 different domains, and your size standard within that domain. The domains, as you see there, I won't list them all, but there are 13 of them, and they are tied to your primary NICS code and your work history. Again, based upon your size standard for your primary domain, that will determine whether or not you're going to qualify to go after small business or whether you would be in the unrestricted pool. The next step beyond selecting your contract family and mapping to your domain is to validate your self-score. And that is the process that this contract vehicle has, which is very unique. It's a scoring system heavily weighted toward past performance. And I'm going to get into that in just a bit. But the actual scoring system is what determines whether or not you're able to actually be awarded a contract. Once you have validated your self-score, and we do that for you in our Tier 1 assessment, then the next step would be to build the evidence package. And that is a process that is very detailed, very much in accordance with the actual requirements contained in solicitation. And not to get too much into the weeds, but the evidence package has to be foolproof. It has to essentially, stand the test of any evaluation on the part of the government as far as the selected domains that you've chosen, the work history that are tied to those domains, as well as your particular contract family, be you a small business, an 8A, whatever it might be. There has to be tremendous amounts of information presented in accordance to the requirements contained in the solicitation in order to have your proposal approved. And then once all that is built, the evidence package is built, it is submitted through a portal that Oasis has provided, and our service does obviously take care of all those things for you. So let's get into the actual points and how the point distribution is given as contained within the solicitation. So each domain has its own self-score with a 50-point maximum contained in each one of the actual tracks. So for small businesses, any small business, small business 8A, small business hub zone, whatever it might be, the minimum score that you have to obtain is 36 out of the 50. For an unrestricted business, a large business, the score would be 42 out of 50. And for enterprise solutions, UNR only domain, a bit higher bar, 45 out of 50. Not very many companies would be looking at that. Most companies are looking at either the unrestricted track or the small business track. And for each one of the domains, there's a different scoring system. But by and large, the five categories that every company is evaluated on based upon the actual track that they select are the qualifying projects. Highest weight. You can actually propose up to 5 different projects per domain. There is a requirement that the work would have had to have been performed within the last 3 years, and it must have a minimum average value of at least $500,000 for small businesses, $1 million for unrestricted or large businesses. That is where you're going to win the actual contract. That is by far the highest weight of any of the 5 categories that you see listed there. Also, with a certain amount of weight is past performance ratings, as evidenced through your CPARs. And it has to be exceptional or very good in order to earn credits there. You also have to be a prime contractor, which is unique about this vehicle as well. Some other vehicles, it didn't matter if you were a sub or a prime. This one, prime contracting experience does matter a great deal. And there is credit that you get for holding prime contracts, IDIQs, multi-agency contracts, and that sort of thing. Okay. So those first three are the ones where you're going to win or lose the actual points. And then to a lesser degree, you're going to have contractor business systems, such as having a DCAA approved accounting system, purchasing system, or being ISO or CMMI certified. Small number of points there. And you also get a small number of points for getting facility clearance, the TS level, or other certifications that you might have. Those are, minor in comparison to the first three categories. And if you score above this 36-point threshold, then you will be awarded the contract. So that is the way the system works. Our Tier 1 readiness assessment does give you this information so that you have basically enough information, very detailed information as we do a deep dive into your past performance projects, your CPARS ratings, your federal contract experience as a prime. We will give you a score that we feel very confident that the government would also be giving you in order to have you make a good decision on whether or not you want to move forward with submitting a proposal. And this is just a typical sample scorecard. This is not based upon anyone else, any other company we've worked with, but this just kind of gives you an idea as to how, again, the weights are afforded. As I mentioned, qualifying projects is definitely going to get the most weight, followed by past performance through CPARS and federal prime experience with contractor business systems and facility clearances and certifications getting a lesser number of points. Again, very small amounts for the last two categories. First category is the largest, followed by the second and third category. Once we have determined that your score is adequate, above the 36 threshold for small businesses, above 42 for large businesses, then we're going to start to assemble your actual past performance evidence in preparation to actually submit your proposal. And we will rank each one of your past performance references or qualifying projects, as Oasis terms it, to give you a ranking as far as is the recommendation for this submission, strong, weak, or otherwise. And we will pick the actual domain that you have the strongest past performance in to have that be your lead domain, followed by the second most strongest, and so forth. And then there may be some that we'll look at and say there's just not a chance that you may qualify based upon the past performance you may have for the work that you performed in this area or this domain, and we will give you that evidence ranking. And again, we'll look at each one of the domains, look at each one of your actual contracts, and give you in our Tier 1 assessment report, what we feel very strongly GSA is going to look at and rank your projects or rank your requests for domain rankings in their evaluation. And of course, green is going to indicate that we feel very strongly that you're going to be able to pursue it and actually be awarded that particular domain. Yellow, selective, and then gray, not so much. So again, our report in our Tier 1 assessment is going to give you some very detailed information. A lot of the projects too, I didn't mention this, within the actual qualifying project evaluation is going to be based not only on the actual contract award that you received as a prime contractor, but it also has various different elements that afford you points based upon the value of your contract, or what Oasis terms the average annual value against the actual qualified project. With thresholds of $1 million and $4 million, where you're going to get higher points based upon your level of performance, or I should say your actual contract value as average per year. So that'll be one of the categories. The other thing will be the actual relevance, the actual alignment of your past performance with the actual scope of that particular domain. Whether or not there's actual surge capability contained in any one of your contracts. Government Oasis wants to see that you've actually been able to staff up very quickly in a surge type of requirement on the part of the government. So all these things will add up to your first category of qualified projects and give you a higher score based on all those things. And we will rank each one of the projects as you see here, based upon the total value, the primary domain that we would recommend, and then the secondary domain. All this contained again in our Tier 1 report that we give. along with the Tier 1 report, which is what you see there on the first third of the slide on the left. Um, all those categories we would provide to you. We would also give you a very detailed reference of the actual self score, so that there's no question as to how that score was obtained. And then we would give you the actual wording in the JPI scoring matrix that is contained in the solicitation that gives you the reasoning on the part of the Oasis evaluation committee as to how you would self-score and what the basis of their evaluation would be on each one of the domains that you would be looking at. So this report, again, Tier 1, would give you a very, very strong indication as to your ability to obtain the actual contract. Okay. What we also will do as a part of our Tier 1 is also give you some indication as to the original Oasis contract vehicle, whatever domain that you would be going after. We'd give you some ideas to how much business was done under that particular contract. Because one of the things, as I mentioned earlier, that we are trying to do with every client that we bring on is just not to get them onto the vehicle, but to get them onto the vehicle strategically, right? So picking the right track, um, or number of tracks, because you can pick as many tracks as you qualify for, as well as targeting the domain. We have some companies that may qualify for 3 or 4 different domains. Well, how do you select the one that is going to be the lead domain? Well, one of the criteria for that is to look at how many task orders are going to be coming out under that domain, and then also looking at the level of competition for the track that you're on, so that you're positioning yourself um, primarily to be able to compete effectively for those task orders that come out. So we'll give you a lot of contract intelligence data that we're able to pull on the activity of the original Oasis, as well as any up-to-date information we have on this particular Oasis Plus activity, so that you're well positioned, well informed in how you decide to take on, or I should say, strategically position yourself on the Oasis vehicle. So for all that, again, our readiness assessment and domain strategy, our Tier 1, gives you these bullet points that you see here, which I just mentioned. It's a full-blown report along with a lot of attachments that essentially gives you a very clear idea as to how you're going to qualify for the Oasis contract. And this is a fairly low price that we offer our clients to not indulge them too quickly if they think that they're kind of on the fence, or if they have some reservations about whether or not they qualify. Very easy decision to make for most companies to say, yeah, we'd like to have you guys take a deep dive, look at us, as a third party, and compare what our company qualifies for, what our past performance is, to what the actual requirements of the solicitation is, and give us a very conservative view of whether or not we're going to be able to get onto this vehicle before we invest heavily in getting onto the vehicle, because the actual tier 2 or tier 3, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, is where the heavy lifting happens, where the level of effort is a lot higher, and we're sweating the details as far as making sure that every single item within the solicitation is answered in our proposal, and in that is fully compliant to the requirements of the solicitation, as well as being competitive, right? So again, this report, Tier 1, easy decision for most companies. We get that done within 10 days. We go through it very quickly. And the other thing we offer too is that if you would want to continue on with either Tier 2 or Tier 3, we'll give you a 50% credit of the cost of Tier 1 toward Tier 2 or Tier 3. And the way we price Tier 2 and Tier 3 is very simple. For some companies who want to go in lean and mean, single domain proposal development, one domain, one track. They just want to get onto the vehicle. Don't want to necessarily, get on as far as a number of different domains or a number of different tracks. That quote we can get to you based upon your company and our conversation with you, as we will sit and talk and understand, what your goals and objectives are. We'll give you a fixed price quote for that. And then for other companies that are looking to actually get onto the vehicle with multiple domains, possibly one track, sometimes two, we can customize it as far as the fixed price quote. Everything is based upon the level of effort because I didn't mention this, for every one of the domains and every one of the tracks that you choose, they're all separate proposals. So it's kind of like an a la carte type thing. It's not a decision where the evaluation committee is going to say yes or no based upon all the domains and all the tracks that you propose. They will look at each one of them individually and score each one and award based upon their scoring. So we would have to propose each one of the tracks and each one of the domains individually in order to um, yeah, have the Oasis folks do their job. The fixed price quote does include, of course, everything we do in terms of the compliance matrix and solicitation tracking. We do a very good job of putting together the actual evidence-based package for your your past performance references. Um, and then we do the self-scoring worksheet. We document it with backup so that the evaluation folks at Oasis have all that in front of them. We'll go through the pink team and red team review cycles. Um, and of course, we'll get it submitted to you in a timely manner, usually within 30 to 60 days. Beyond the submission, we will also be available 90 days afterwards for any Q&A from the government, requests for clarifications or whatever it might be, additional information. We will be there to assist you in making sure that we're responsive to that. And then our payment system is based upon the actual agreement execution and the proposal submission. That pretty much covers it. We welcome anyone who has an interest in working with us to sit down and talk with us for 15 minutes. Let's go over the individual requirements that your firm has. We can turn around a very quick proposal to you for both tier one to get the actual assessment done of your company. And then once that's executed, 10 days later, you have a very clear idea as to where you sit in terms of your evaluation that you can expect to get from the government. We'll do a very extensive way of evaluating your company. And then if you want to go forward, then we move on to the heavy lift of preparing your proposal documents and getting them submitted within about a 30 to 60 day time frame for most companies, and get it submitted before the actual door closes or the on-ramp is no longer there. So welcome you guys to get in touch with John and the rest of the team and schedule a 15-minute consultation. Be happy to talk with you and share any information we have to help you make a better decision on whether or not you want to pursue the Oasis Plus contract vehicle. All right, John, that's all I got. I guess I'll turn it back over to you now.
Thank you so much, Mike. That was incredibly valuable. So everyone, feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and we'll get to as many as we can. We've also added the link for your free consultation, along with links to our social media platforms. Please follow us to stay updated on our upcoming events and webinars. We have a question here, Mike. So it's from Maddie. Her question is, in your experience, what was the minimum self-scored point total that resulted in an Oasis award?
Well, it's very clear cut. You have to score at least 36 points in order to receive an award. Now, what we will do is we will work with the client to add a cushion. Let's say if your score, after we go through tier one, your score is at 36. We don't feel comfortable with it being at 36 because the margin of error is just zero, right? You either get it or you don't. So what we try to do is we try to encourage clients to build a cushion and have some margin of error of 2 to 3, as many as 4 or 5 points above what we conservatively estimate your score is. And we'll do that by maybe bringing teaming partners to the table that might increase the score. We'll look at other ways of actually supplementing the score, dig deep as far as certifications that you may have, or we've helped one company that did not have a security clearance. We found another teaming partner that did have a security clearance and a qualifying project that helped increase their score on one of the particular domains by 7 points. And that, afforded the prime in this situation a comfort level of saying, okay, I'm not, one or 2 points above the threshold. I'm actually 7 points above the threshold. And so we help to make sure that you do have a cushion. But again, the answer to your question is 36 is the minimum. You want to score as many points as possible toward that 50-point total, and we can help you to get there.
All right, thank you so much, Mike. And yeah, so some of the questions here have been answered by teaming, to improve score by teaming. So that was answered by Mike. Yes, that's possible. And another question that we have here is, can 8A firm having just a federal subcontracting past performance can qualify for this vehicle?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, again, as I mentioned, this vehicle is designed primarily for companies that have received prime contract awards, not subcontract awards, in excess of $1 million averaged within a year. If I had to, kind of give you the checkpoints that you really need to be at in order to qualify for this vehicle, you would have had to have received, multiple prime contract awards in the last 3 to 5 years, and it has to be in excess of $1 million per year. That heavy weight is what you're going to see in your scorecard based upon that, um, the criteria that Oasis Plus has set, and that would afford you the opportunity to get onto the vehicle. Subcontracts on some vehicles are more heavily weighted. On this one, it is not. So, many of our clients that have received and done very well getting subcontracts, built their company on it. We just, basically bring them to the table to some of the other companies that we work with that are better positioned as prime contractors, and we try to, have the two team up so that at least, the actual company that has a subcontract does have a lane on a particular domain that they can go after as a sub to the prime. So, unfortunately, this contract vehicle is not designed for 8A companies that have received subcontract work. It's designed so much more for companies that have received a number of prime contract awards in excess of $1 million averaged over the last, 5 years, let's say.
Thank you, Mike. And uh, this one is from Jonathan Evans. What is the date the government is using for the 3-year past performance?
Yeah, good
Think-
question. It's May of 2023. So yeah, the look back is to May of 2023. Yeah, we've had that come up a couple of times with clients we've worked with. So, and then unfortunately, sometimes past performances usually are allowed to go back 5 years on this vehicle. The look back is to May of 2023.
And yeah, one last question here, just to wrap it up. What happens if you submitted and now we have realized it wasn't meeting the 36-point threshold?
Ha! Well, haven't run into that before. I would probably have to research whether or not you can recall the proposal and resubmit. My guess is that you should be able to, but you may not be able to if the evaluation has already begun, um, or perhaps you can, be denied and then resubmit again. I'd have to research that to find out. I haven't run into that instance before. If you want to set up a 50-minute consultation with us, John, contact the person that asked that question. We'll have an answer for you during the consultation.
So you could schedule one-on-one with Mike. And yeah, so that's that's wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for for attending. We appreciate your time today. And yeah, we'll see you at our next webinar and have a great day.